Hello and welcome to Reanimated. This is a podcast about zombies. My name's Stuart. Joining me as always is the invincible H.A. Conrad. Hello.
Hello, I wish I was invincible, but
If you say it enough times, it will manifest.
I mean, we know you are intrepid. There's no question about
I
that.
feel more intrepid every time you say that when you introduce me on the podcast. So I'm just really trying to, reinforce your invincibility. And I
I
think we'll get there through repetition.
maybe.
Today on the podcast, we're going to continue talking about, speaking of brain fog, Daryl Dixon, season 3, episode 5, entitled Limbo.
mm,
Hmm. Jake Conrad already weighing in with a non-committal grunt.
yeah.
We'll see. Okay, well, but before we can get to that, it is October. It's getting inching closer to Halloween, and so we do have a fair amount of news to talk about. First up is more kind of exciting coverage about Lestat, the show. What season is this of the
I think
vampire?
is this two?
And it's at least three because France was two, right?
Oh, okay.
Or there
Yeah,
was New
you're
Orleans and then there was Paris. And
yeah.
so I think now we're in Vampire Lestat territory. So I think it's at least three.
Okay.
And there's also an extended trailer or season preview maybe that
Oh
I
yeah.
found to be edited in kind of a fun way. What'd you think?
It was really fun. There's lots of stuff like this is definitely in keeping with the Vampire Lestat book. And there were a lot of things about that book that were like honestly cringe. So I think that they're leaning hard into it and making it camp and very Lestat-like. And
Yeah,
it's
it,
supposed to
it
be
feels like watching this, it feels like you kind of need to really, the trailer assumes that you know everything that's going on and you haven't forgotten anything since the last season aired
right.
or from season one too. So there's a lot of like inside jokes, it feels like being trotted out in the trailer.
Yeah. And it's also so Vampire Lestat was totally from Lestat's point of view, and it's also his response to the interview with the vampire book, which was written by Louis. And there's definitely some obvious, they've changed a lot of things about some of the plot lines, and so this is kind of this was sort of Lestat's answer to that, and to make Louis come back to him or to have like some kind of confrontation. So obviously they're kind of delineating, or maybe they're not. I don't know. We'll
And is
see.
that the book where they introduced the Egyptian mega vampires?
No, that's like that's Queen of the Damned. So that's like
Okay,
the
that, but that's the casting announcement that initially prompted me to look at this. Is Sheila Atim will be playing Queen of the Damned Akasha
well, they
for
make
the
an
series Vampire
appearance.
Lestat.
They do make an appearance, like I think at the end of it of Lestat. So maybe
No.
they're blending some of it together.
Okay.
But anyway, I do love how they make Lestat into this kind of glam rock Freddie Mercury, David Bowie kind of person, because that's much more in keeping with what he would do.
Hmm.
The books were not quite as clear about that.
But
And
they
so,
were clear about how he like overtly used his powers
oh,
to further
definitely.
his career, and I'm kind of excited to see that element of it
Yeah,
shown.
so all of that is pretty much in keeping. But because it's from his point of view, I do think that they've done an insanely good job at making this a very Lestat-like kind of voice, the way that the trailer is, the way the storytelling is. So I'm pretty excited to see it.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun, and frankly, I'm starting to feel like I'm behind on this whole universe, the Anne Riceverse, because the Talamasca show, I think that might be out,
yeah,
or it's just previewed, and I haven't,
I
I've lost track of it.
I
And
got
there's
it.
also a second season of Mayfair Witches that we haven't even talked about.
Yeah. So we have a few Riceverse things to do.
Yeah.
Uh
So that's if you get a chance, gentle listener, have a look for the extended Lestat trailer. I think it's fun, and I hope you think so too. And I can't wait for us to talk about that in 2026, whenever the hell it comes out.
all right.
Next up is something that I assume is going to raise your ire, H.A. Conrad, the Monroeville
Why?
Mall.
Why on earth do you think that?
Because I don't know, I feel like you like legacy, you like monuments.
So what annoys me about this is that so what we're talking about is that now the plans that Walmart actually has kind of put in place just for everybody's edification. They had a whole deal to buy the Monroeville Mall, better known as like the mall that Dawn of the Dead was filmed in. And the idea originally, or at least how they purported it to be, was that it would be, remodeled, reimagined. But what it really means is that they're going to totally destroy it and then rebuild something else that they want to build. I mean, I think what is really kind of ironic and funny about this is that this is exactly what Romero was talking about in Dawn of the Dead. So it's kind of honestly fitting, and I don't think he would be at all surprised by it. I don't know how you make a mall an enterprise that actually makes money anymore.
Right. That's kind of
But
where I'm coming from on this too. It does feel like that era of retail has kind of is at least waning, if not done. My local mall here has so many closed, shuttered storefronts that it's just kind of depressing. So if Walmart, this mega giant, can reimagine, they bought the site for 34 million, and they're just going to tear it down and then build mixed use. Which I'm a big fan of mixed use too, like housing and commercial and whatever. I think that that's kind of a good vision, even though it is sad to see something like
Well,
this.
it's just kind of funny because the commentary was about consumerism and that
Yeah.
was the whole thing. And now it's like, I don't know. I do not think he would be surprised at all. And I think he'd be like, see, I told you so. So, I mean, that's kind of my take on it.
But what I think what they're doing is they're taking down a huge mall and building in smaller versions of that sort of thing, and with housing, which I think is actually less consumerism, rampant consumerism. So maybe Romero might be more forgiving of it.
Maybe, I don't know. But I like nobody goes like there's like this whole thing like dead malls and like anything like there's all a huge problem with them. So,
Yep.
um it's not like people do that anymore. So it's like I don't know what you would do with it otherwise, other than maybe preserve a piece of it just from a legacy point of view, which maybe they're thinking about, but it doesn't sound like it.
I mean,
Um,
there is a Living Dead museum there and a statue of
uh,
George Romero. So
but I think we'll have to see. Again, this did not surprise me at all. So
no, no, I suppose not. Real estate is worth a lot. Okay, so that's Monroeville Mall being torn down by Walmart. RIP. And then next up is the piece of news that weirdly gives me the most excitement in a weird way, mostly just from window shopping. But there's this huge
agree.
Walking Dead prop auction going on right now. And ironically, it's at HA.com, which I don't know if you saw that,
I did notice that, and I'm like, obviously, I'm running this. No.
obviously. But it's like Heritage Auctions, I think is the name of the business. But
Yeah.
it is how many pages? If you're looking at it at 48 items a page, it's at least 18, maybe more pages of props. And some of them are goofy and some of them are like, wow, these are actually really like there's a lot of the costumes that different people wore. A
Mhm.
lot of them are start almost every the lowest opening bid that I've seen is $500. The
Yeah, that's
highest was
probably fair.
10,000, and the 10,000 was for Rick Grimes ensemble from it looks like there's a couple different Rick Grimes ensembles from different seasons.
Yeah, and they also have his accessories and things like that. And I mean, I guess my thing about this is that they have multiple, versions of each costume for people. So I'm like, this feels slightly like a money grab, but it's still very cool to see it all.
Yeah.
So,
There's also multiple different versions of Lucille up for
right,
auction, and those are going for 5 grand each.
right.
Opening bid.
There's also like accessories and things like that. So it's like, all the things that they sort of associate, but I can't imagine that they would be giving away everything. So they just have to have like, but I mean, they have outfits from like Glenn and Merle and like really identifiable outfits too. So it's like the Glenn, like the baseball cap and the little like jersey and it's really fun to go through the whole thing. So I
Oh
highly
God, yeah.
recommend it.
I think the best lots are these assortment of X number survivor weapons and equipment from the show.
Yeah.
So this one's I'm just looking at one of them. It's an assortment of 11 pieces of equipment and weapons. It has a couple of rifles, which is kind of crazy. One pistol, some swords and daggers, and then a bunch of sheaths and a walkie-talkie, HA.
Hmm.
A walkie-talkie. I'm sure you would love to have one of those. And then there's even like a photo of the saviors standing on a road somewhere. It's and then so that's the opening bid's $500. I don't know if you get to see how high it has gone if people have bid already on it, but these all have like 20 days left on them. A lot of them do anyway. There's even zombie costumes. I mean, it doesn't have the makeup, but it's got like the latex mask, it's got their torn clothing, blood-stained everything.
Hmm.
There's even vehicles. I think the MRAP, Al's stupid big truck, at least one of Daryl Dixon's motorcycles, the RV from season one, these are all on auction.
Yeah. I like that there's a lot of Dale ensembles. It's also interesting
Yeah.
to see how things are priced based on the popularity of their characters. So, like, for example, anything related to Daryl is actually a lot, and some of Carol's stuff
Yeah.
are a lot higher than other things. And then Rick Grimes, obviously, they have so many items from him, but there's certain things, like key things from him that are definitely like um, just put at a lot, just at a much higher value. And it depends on, I think, how identifiable the things are, because there's like certain things like, Glenn's ensembles, like depending on which part of the season he was in, that are like more expensive than other things. And then there's like the Lori Grimes stuff, which I can't believe would be as, you know, sought after. Um, and then, there's multiple uniforms of Rick Grimes in there. So, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to go through.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so I don't know. That can be hours of entertainment, and if you've got an extra few $100s that you're willing to pony up for one of these things, you could be the proud owner of, say, a stick with some green tape on the end that was used to spear a zombie in the face on the show.
Well, it's even funny. They even have like the signs for the sets and things like that.
They've got Don't Dead Open inside. Like two doors chained
Yeah.
together is literally for sale, which is bananas.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
They have all of that stuff. So, um, anyway, a little something for everybody, and it's definitely fun to kind of go through this whole thing
yeah.
for sure.
So yeah, that's the Heritage Auctions Walking Dead auction lot of like 1,000 items that you can get. And when I see this, I also wonder, is this like the end of the franchise? Are they just because there's stuff from even from Daryl Dixon on here. There's a Codron outfit. Uh,
Yep.
so it feels like they're just
They're covering
clearing
it.
house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that is Walking Dead auction. Check it out if you want. Hopefully, it doesn't mean the end of time or the end of the show forever, but gosh, maybe. So that brings us to Daryl Dixon season three, episode five, which is an odd sort of fish.
Mm-hmm.
It's directed by Paco Cabezas, second one he's directed, written by Jason Richmond and David Zabel, who have written a lot of the episodes this season. And David Zabel, I believe, is the showrunner. Uh, and it's kind of like a bottle episode. It feels very genre blendy,
Yeah, like, perhaps Mad Max E?
perhaps Magnificent Seven E, except
Yeah.
Magnificent Daryl.
Yeah.
Yeah. We begin with Daryl, Carol, and Antonio start searching for Roberto.
Mm-hmm.
And Daryl is doing his tracking trick, and they quite quickly find Roberto is tied from to a rope hanging off the side of a bridge. Two Alcazar guys are taking bets on how fast they can chop the rope. And the thing I didn't like about this scene was the guy raises his machete to chop the rope a second time, and like you can almost tell exactly to the second when people are going to get killed in this show. It feels like with Cooper
Mm-hmm.
and the arrow last episode. This guy, it's just like, and three, two, one, yep, okay, yeah. It's so telegraphed and predictable elements of it that it just feels like a real C team is running this show.
Agree. Agree. Um, this felt very contrived and like, what are we gonna do? Like, in a world where people get bitten without even seeing it, and then they have this kind of thing going on, and I'm like, this just seems just so ridiculous. Like, I don't believe that they would waste all the time doing this.
Yeah,
Just
like what's with this
yeah,
extra effort they're putting into killing this guy instead of just chopping his neck with their machete
right, right.
and getting on with their day, you know?
But this is what they do, and so it allows enough time for our little triumvirate of rebels to catch up and rescue him. And I got like, look, there's a lot that I'm bothered by. But one of the things I am most bothered by is that part of Roberto's really hurt. They don't know quite how. I mean, he's probably got a head wound or head injury or something like
Yeah,
that.
he's been worked over.
He's
There's
been working
nothing
over.
else going on with him. But
Sure.
it's this whole like he's given up the will to it's the Padme Amidala death
Right, right.
thing.
And there's also the idea that there's medicine from the Alcazar that will magically cure him, like by witches. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking
Well,
about?
that was actually
He-
funny.
He's got a concussion, dude. Like,
No, no, it's his
also,
heart,
what
HA.
medicine is going to cure internal bleeding, which is a
It's
possibility? Like, come on.
he's dying the death of a broken heart.
Uh-huh.
But the scene where Carol's like, "Oh, they're like witches," and Antonio's like, "Nah," and then the two old women are chanting like newts and salamanders and
Okay.
ravens. He's like, "Well,
Like,
yeah,
right.
yeah, I guess they are like witches." That was actually
Fine,
pretty funny.
but this whole thing and that they're gonna cure like and what they need and like yeah, I guess there's the placebo effect and whatever, but this just seemed so beyond ridiculous to me and I was really troubled by it. And just seemed like just this other aspect that they're inserting into the show that I'm not really enjoying.
Yeah, there's a fair amount in the last two episodes that just feel like they're phoning it in. Um, and one of the elements, there's so the one thing that I do like about the scene of them intercepting this like slow ass execution, the guy drops his machete and it falls into a zombie under the bridge, and then Antonio pulls it out and uses it to cut him down. I thought that was actually kind of interesting. It was like a nice little bit of choreography, although everything else about it was contrived. And then when they do save Roberto and they're trying to get him to tell them what happened, he starts in Spanish and then switches to English because when you're concussed, it's easier to speak in a foreign language. You know that, HA, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. The brain gets scrambled, and then suddenly it's like, you know what? This language that I wasn't really comfortable speaking in earlier, I'm going to tell the story in that language. Uh, super normal. I was glad that the later when Daryl is in that village that he like nobody else is speaking, only one person is speaking to him in English, but her English kind of comes and goes in terms of how good it is.
True.
Yeah. So they come up with this plan. Daryl's like, fine, I'm gonna go and like he's been so resistant to helping and saving other people. He just wants to do hot dogs. He does use that rallying cry again in this scene. And eventually, though, he's like, look, Carol, you can't come with me. You're not 100%. Go back and lie to Fede, telling him that Roberto was waylaid by bandits. That lasts about 3 seconds in terms of how good that plan is. It doesn't go over at all. Because apparently, Carol and Antonio are like, let's tell them the Primitivos did it.
Hmm.
When the Primitivos, as we've learned, only want to destroy and kill. So, yeah. So Fede's like, well, why didn't they just kill him? But Fede, like, I feel like everybody's forgetting that there was already a scene with quote unquote bandits who were Alcazar's men that nobody else really knows that that's what was going on. Like, Fede doesn't know that Justina and Roberto were attacked and robbed and almost killed by Alcazar guys at the waterfall, right? He doesn't know that.
Nope.
He knows that they were bandits.
Right.
So I don't understand why they decided to go with the Primitivos angle. That felt like short-sighted.
It did.
And so Fede's not convinced, and he's not convinced that Daryl's just sleeping down on the boat at the beach. And by the end of the episode, he's sending someone to go and check and find out. And it's like that's like the B plot is Carol is at Solaz and she's flirting with Antonio Valentina comes up to get some supplies, and she's, using her insights to be like, I was all wrong about you and Daryl. I guess it's you like the local selection a little bit better. And Carol's
Right.
just smiling at her.
Yeah, and then Carol like goes out on a limb and she invites um she's basically like, all right, like now that we're so sorry. This did I was like, really? Are we going here already? Now that we're established and Valentina has noticed that we're super like together, um, why don't you and Roberto, and I guess it's I don't know if it's really we don't know if Justina's gonna come back, but how are all these people gonna fit on the boat, right? And then
Yeah, I don't know how
it
many people you
implies
could get in
that
there.
like
2 weeks on that boat with like 5 people.
right, but it's also they've been implying something about Antonio that he's like afraid to leave Solaz and things, or there's something that she doesn't know about what's going on because he pretty much rebuffs her he rebuffs her entreaty and just is like, okay, we got to get more of the stuff. Like he completely ignores it, and poor Carol is just like crushed. Although I will say, I just don't think she would be offering this at this point. Do you?
It feels early,
Yeah. Like
but I feel like Carol's just trying to get anybody to come to America at this point.
nobody wants to go to America, right?
Yeah.
So it like so that
She
and
also pitches it really shitty. Like it's not a great pitch. She's like, Salaz is nice. You know what also is kind of nice? Ohio. You might like it. I don't know. She like has very little to sell.
yeah,
And it's not like Antonio and Roberto are having a terrible existence here. Their life is sort of fine, except for Roberto's, love life and I guess the ofrenda in general. But assuming that they can overcome that, why would they want to leave?
right. Yeah, it's a little yeah, it's a little odd. Anyway, and then we've also got the we know that Fede isn't really believing them, but he's even more not believing them because they left the necklace that Justine had been wearing in Roberto's hand. So you're trying to like kind of do this subterfuge. That's probably a pretty big clue.
I have a beef with this though. Roberto gave her that compass.
Right.
I don't know exactly when he gave it to her, but what Abuela is clocking exactly her
Oh, right.
accessories all the
Does
time.
anybody know about this at all? Right? Nobody knows about this except the two of them. So how would you? But they did see her wearing it, I guess. Maybe that's the thing.
Apparently, it just felt
Hmm.
it felt like a bit much. I mean, and I think this is interesting the way that they're playing the scene. Fede's like, "Mom, you're imagining things. You're just confused. Don't worry about it." But then after she leaves, he's like, "Go and
Yeah.
make sure Daryl's at the beach." Do we know that guy's name? The bald bearded guy who is his like one heavy.
Oof. He said the name and I don't remember.
He did say something, but it didn't have a subtitle and I couldn't understand it. So that's the problem. When they start speaking Spanish, I lose the thread so soon. That's my own fault. So that's kind of everything that's been going on at Solaz, more or less. Except, yeah, Gustavo has another scene of welcoming Valentina into the village, and Paz, who Carol calls Paz, because
Mm,
every so often she will speak, because she's fine saying to Fede, it was bandoleros, you know,
oh,
but
right?
then she's like, Paz, I trust you? And I just find that funny when she's like, oh, I will actually do some Spanish pronunciations every so often, but I'm fine saying bandoleros.
She doesn't say Barcelona. So that's
Nobody does, right?
right.
So Paz is hearing that Roberto is going after Justina, and if you've seen the coming, the future attractions part of the episode, she's gonna, I think, show up very far from home in the next episode in a way that's gonna really raise some questions about Daryl's efficiency on his journey to me. I don't know. Did you see that?
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, she's gonna pop up and like with Daryl after he's been riding his bike for days and
Yeah.
nights. You know,
Yep.
sure he had a bit of a sidetrack mission here, but okay, let's talk about that.
Yes. So, he like this is so Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Lots of really actually beautiful scenes of riding through desert, but he's got all of his stuff. Like I think it's quite deliberate in terms of the imagery that they're doing. And there's really just nothing really around, except apparently for, you know, a man with no eyes begging for water, because that's normal. And Daryl like gives him the water. He looks very strange. I don't know that I would want that guy's mouth on my water bottle, but he like stops him before eating it, drinking all the water, and there's like all these vultures like going, and the guy's like, "You're next," and then Daryl just like basically goes on his merry way.
Hmm. Like that was
And
a cool little interaction with a local. Well done.
right, but it's like, oh, this isn't gonna give you pause. I mean, he does look at him, like gives him some side eye, but that's like kind of it. I don't know what else he's supposed to do, but and then there's like a train being pulled by walkers, and then there's this like these kind of weird dudes um hanging out in the train, getting bathed and serviced. And they're like, I want that bike. And so then we know who the big bads are going to be in this episode, and they're being ooh scary and talking about feeding things to somebody or something named Lola. And this is, the kind of this is weird. They want his bike, but they have dirt
They have
bikes.
so many bikes. They have
So
like
it's
seven
like
or eight bikes.
so I'm kind of like it's not like they maybe they just want all the things, which is fine and seems very Mad Maxy. Um, so anyway, they
It
basically,
feels super dumb that Daryl like rides really close to the train before he
yeah, like
stops and looks at it.
he sees that it's like a weird thing. Like I don't know that I'd be going near that. I'd probably be avoiding it.
Yeah.
And anyway, long story short, they get his bike, and then he has to like,
Well, we have to talk about the jousting on motorcycle.
God, it's so dumb though. Oh,
It's yeah. Well, I guess there's nothing else to say. It's jousting on motorcycles, and they actually repeat that conceit later on in the episode
later. Um, but in any case, he's wandering through the desert, has no water, and ends up meeting some lepers. And they're like they lead him into this beautiful little town where it's like kind of destroyed but still looks kind of cool. And they don't really speak English. They do give him water, and it becomes very clear that they just don't have that much left. And this woman Amaya, sorry, with the main lead leper is Mateo, but the this woman Amaya comes into the picture and explains,
because she's the
um,
only one who speaks
she's the
any
only one who
English.
speaks English, explains that this is all the water they have, that surprise, surprise, Chofo or whatever his name is, and his band of train robbers have taken all of their stuff. They basically ask him to help, and they um offer him their truck to be able to go and help if he'll bring their water back. And there's a whole night spent and lots of heart tugging moments.
With the very Mateo's very cute little
Yep,
leper daughter,
yep.
Rosa,
uh,
who
and they help.
shares her water bottle with Daryl. So leprosy contagion is kind of like spit related. I
Hmm.
mean, 95% of humans are immune to leprosy,
Yep.
which is kind of crazy that this many lepers would be in one place because how many people do you think there are in Spain? What, it's just the 5% of the population who are, susceptible to leprosy have survived. I don't know.
Yeah.
I find this a little bit
And I mean,
sus.
you can't maybe they uh had a lot of interaction with armadillos or something, but when
Maybe.
you have to like really be in close contact with somebody that's infected for the most part. But
And, or sharing a water bottle, which
water
Daryl,
bottle
that's
for
his
sure.
one memento from this adventure
Yeah.
is a leper kid's water bottle that he's gonna probably drink out of the rest of the season.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's kind of
So,
weird.
but when he accepts this mission, they like offer him to use this truck, very begrudgingly, because Amaya's convinced that he's gonna screw them over. But then he has like a training montage with them. He's like, "We're gonna need rope, lots of rope," and you don't really see him like teaching them spear formations or anything like straight out of Seven Samurai, but this is definitely the vibes. Um, and all these people are so happy that he's there and helping them, even though a lot of them are like, I don't know how unfit maybe you become when you contract leprosy, but some of these people are like young men, and
Hmm.
they all just seem so impotent, like, and like they're not gonna stand up for themselves unless Daryl can do it. So there's this whole like white knight sort of thing happening that I found a little bit lame.
Yeah, for sure.
So his plan though is to just really go out and find the bandits and then lure them back to town so that his new militia force can club them to death or whatever. And these scenes go pretty fast. It's not a long episode, so to have this as your A plot, in addition to all the stuff that we've seen at Solaz Del Mar, it's kind of
Right.
a lot to fit in, and they do it quite efficiently, I would say. Like they don't waste time. They get these scenes they're snappy. It's an enjoyable trope, so I liked watching this, but it was very like derivative, obviously.
It was. I do like the train set. I thought that was like kind of fun, but they clearly enjoyed it too. Like this was just a thing to like kind of throw in there as a set piece in the whole train plot. I could just feel how excited they were probably to do all of this.
And that final shootout and fight with the bandit boss, did you say his name's Chofo?
It's like Chofo or Chufo or something like that.
That was a really fun scene, like when Daryl jumps on top of the
Yeah,
train, takes out the last couple of bandits because they've
that was
already killed
that
six of them.
that felt very Indiana Jones to me too. So
So yeah,
plenty
it's
of lot.
Magnificent Seven. It's Indiana Jones. It's Mad Max. There's a lot going on here, but it is fun. And they end up the final two alive people. I think his girlfriend gets away. Are inside the train. The zombies are coming in from both ends of the train car, and they're fighting hand to hand. And at one point, they bump into each other and fight on, like keep going, and because they recognize that it's them against the undead. And I love that. That's kind of great stuff.
Yeah.
And
Um,
then they take a little breather before they finish the combat, which I thought was also kind of funny.
yes, definitely. And surprise, surprise, Lola is an iguana
Who
that
eats only eyeballs.
in the eyeballs.
But Lola also survives. And now the leper colony somehow has to transport all their water via small containers back to their cistern at their in their village. Not sure how that's going to work out necessarily, but it's also not clear how the bandits got the water from their cistern into the train to begin with.
hmm,
None of this, unless there's train tracks going right through their town, which I don't think there are.
right. Like how I was thinking the same thing, and I'm like, okay, little some plot holes here for sure. So I don't know.
So yeah, they were like, we've got 2 or 3 days left to live, is what Amaya's telling him because they only have one big jug of water left for
Mhm.
like 30 people. And now I'd say they have 30 days to live. So Daryl can ride off into the sunset, satisfied with his performance. Another good job. Job well done. He gets back his stuff, his bike, his poncho. He always had his poncho, of course, because Daryl without a poncho is like nude.
Yes, kind of.
And that's
To the
yeah, and
world.
then he's like riding off into the sunset.
Yep. Um, yeah. And I am looking forward to Pa catching up with him. And have you seen the rumors about this subplot about Rick Grimes' brother being in Barcelona?
No, Rick Grimes has a brother?
Apparently, as a brother, I think that there's some mention, or like Rick mentioned some at some point, and there may be something. And I don't. I admit, I do not. I did not remember this from the comic books or from the graphic.
No.
So I am what everybody is making conjectures that potentially, if they get to Barcelona, which it sounds like they will, that Daryl may run into Rick Grimes' brother.
Huh.
Because that's who Carol mentions. She makes some mention of her friend's brother living in Barcelona, and that's who they think that she's referring to. I thought she was just kind of making up her own Carol stories, but if that's the truth, that will be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. Let's I guess we'll see. I with the last couple episodes, I'm feeling like, yeah, like I've said, this show has a lot of work to do to kind of get back to good.
Yeah.
I will say it was nice that Daryl trotted out some of his French when he was talking about I think Amaya was asking him what he thought of their community, and he goes, "The paysan. That's a good thing."
Mm.
That was really nice that they would call back to. He's like, the French have a word for it. I don't know. Like I feel like when if Daryl Dixon is saying stuff like that, he has come a long way in this world.
True.
That was nice.
Wait,
Anything else about
not
oh,
to not to circle back, but and also it would be really it would be this is like totally ridiculous, but maybe Rick Grimes' brother is his identical twin brother, and then they have Rick Grimes and they have Andrew Lincoln come back. I know they won't do it, but it's just funny.
you know what? It might be fun for for Andy Lincoln to do that because they could probably kill off Jeffrey Grimes, Rick's brother,
Right.
and it would have zero impact on
Then
the legend of Rick Grimes.
he does die in the graphic novels. I do know that. But there's no um
I mean, doesn't Rick die in the comics too?
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's not really specific like he dies I think like in the outbreak at some point trying to get back to the US, so maybe this is what they're bringing into this, so we'll have to wait and see, but that could be an interesting twist.
I thought I'd seen a headline recently where Andy Lincoln was talking about coming back to The Walking Dead. So in
If it
some,
is, that would be really incredible. So we'll see. Um, if it's his twin brother, this would be it. Like I will be like, I'm actually putting this out as a far-flung theory, but if they do this, this would be just hilarious. So the other option is that, maybe there's a cameo at some point, but we'll see. Like if they flash to the US with what's happening with Laurent, we don't know. So,
and apparently Kodron is supposed to come back too,
oh,
or
is
at
he?
least,
Know
well,
that.
I think they just said that his story isn't over. I think that was the extent of, because obviously it's not. He's not dead, or that we know of. He just ran off having the hallucinations. I
Hmm.
don't know how the hell they would believably reintroduce Kodron into the show when they're all in Spain, and he last time we saw him, he was on the north coast of France. Or in the tunnel underneath France and between France and England.
Hmm.
But maybe he'll just parachute in like a Deus Ex Codron. This show is in a way like it's jumped the shark to such an extent that that wouldn't be the weirdest thing.
True.
So, how many more episodes of the show do we have to go?
I don't
We
know.
have there's 7 episodes this season, and that was 5. So two more, taking us pretty much right up toward the end of October. I kind of hope it improves. It's still entertaining enough. The production value is good. It's just I feel like the writing feels sloppy and a little bit lame.
It's good. This felt very like jammed in there and kind of like, hey, this is a placeholder. I mean, I guess you could argue there's some movement forward in terms of like Daryl is actually helping people in the way that he normally would, and he's sort of returning to that philosophy in the same way we saw that he ended up helping Laurent and all the people in France.
Yeah.
And I mean, so I think maybe that's the point of this, but it felt like a lot of I don't want to say wasted time, but it didn't feel like it really was enough in terms of what they were really trying to do. So it feels like there's a lot of storylines and it's a little muddy. And so I'm kind of disappointed because I would like the writing to be a little tighter and I'd like the storytelling to be a little tighter. But
Yeah, like it makes me wonder, what do I want out of this, you
yeah,
know? And part of me does just want them to get home.
I know, and maybe that's
And
and
that defeats the
maybe
point
that's
of the series, right?
I know. So maybe we're asking for too much.
And yeah, I think what we want kind of means the end of this show. But you could have Daryl Dixon back in Ohio also.
Mm,
Of course, they'd have to bring the whole band back together, and there's no way in hell they're going to do that.
indeed. So I guess we'll just have to continue the ride.
Indeed.
And mildly complain about how it's
Yes,
going.
with our mild complaints, by Jove.
mean, I think I would like to see a little bit more, and I know that they just don't do this that often, and we were meant to like, these are both characters that don't talk a ton about their feelings, but I would like to see a little bit more with Daryl and Carol kind of figuring out some things, and in
What do
terms
you
of,
feel like they need to figure out?
I mean, I think we hear little offhand remarks, about, what's going on, hot dogs, other things. And I know how much they actually mean to each other, and she does throw some things in there, but there's a lot of them talking past each other in this. Maybe that's deliberate, but um I would like sort of you know, like a combined effort for the two of them to be pulling in the same direction. So, I guess I'm just asking for a little bit more, like I'm not really all that interested with Carol and Antonio, quite honestly. I think that's boring. So
Oh, because also he doesn't seem that interested in her.
no, it doesn't really, and it seems annoying to me that she's wasting time. I don't know. So kind of bored by some of that stuff, and I don't understand why there needs to be that romantic subplot. And so yeah. So anyway,
Hey, another red herring here. What do you think of her sweater in this episode? That
yeah,
little, it's like a blue shirt sweater.
yeah.
It's such a fine, it's like kind of see-through, but it's like so well made.
Also, we all know that when Carol wears sweaters like this, she's usually lying and pretending to be a good little housewife or
That's
whatever.
when she's wearing cardigans, HA. I feel like you're mixing up her sweater language.
Maybe I am. Maybe I am. I just, when I saw the sweater, I was like, is she being real Carol or is she being fake Carol?
This just looked like something you would see on the shelf in J. Crew or
Oh,
so. I
yeah,
don't know.
sure. Like, I don't think this would exist. So, yeah. So we shall have to see.
Yeah. Well, she has to offset Daryl's basically wearing rags, like black poncho that's all ripped to hell. When he's riding his motorcycle in this episode, his hair is fully covering one of his eyes, if not both
Hmm.
of them. Amazing that he didn't wipe out.
Indeed.
And there's a scene at the end of the episode when, or not quite at the end, when he's riding his motorcycle down the tracks away from the train car. And the stuntman, I'm pretty sure it was a stuntman, is wiggling back and like all over because he's riding in like that big gravel that's on train tracks, and the wheels on the motorcycle can't really get traction, and he's just going. It's it's so wobbly that I'm surprised they left it in. I was like, you got to be able to come up with some better footage than this.
Oh,
This
I
is a guy
know.
who's barely got control of his vehicle
I
here.
know. It was like, I thought the same thing. I'm like, this is a little weird, but okay. Okay. All right.
Anyway, I think we've come up with enough gripes for
Yeah.
one show. We'll be doing episode 6 next time. Episode 6 is going to be a Daniel Percival directed episode, back to him, and written though by Marta Jean Camps, who I don't think we've had an episode written by that person before. And it'll be called Contrabando, or Smuggling.
Mm. All right. Well, I am looking forward to it. I still am enjoying seeing all the wonderful, like I like seeing Spain. Makes me want to go back. It's a beautiful country, and I feel like I haven't explored nearly enough of it. So I am enjoying that aspect of it. And so looking forward to mildly complaining about the next episode with you, Stuart.
Yeah, same
Uh,
here.
and thanks everybody for listening. I'd love to hear what everybody thinks about it. So feel free to drop us a line at reanimatedpodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, bye bye.
Bye, everybody.